In the realm of theological lore, no tale is as riveting and foreboding as the ultimate clash between Jesus and the Antichrist. This apocalyptic confrontation, laden with symbolism and dread, has mesmerized believers and scholars for centuries. It embodies the quintessential struggle between absolute good and unrelenting evil, a battle prophesied in sacred scriptures that shapes the foundations of eschatological belief and penetrates deep into our cultural and spiritual psyche. Join us as we journey through the origins of the Antichrist, the ominous prophecies foretelling this epic conflict, the ferocious battle itself, and the profound aftermath. This narrative promises to reveal a story teeming with complexity, fear, and monumental significance. Ancient theological writings and Christian eschatology are the primary sources of information on the Antichrist, a figure whose name evokes visions of unmatched malevolence and deceit. Since the term Antichrist is first used in the New Testament, more especially the epistles of John, it is largely borrowed from there. According to theology, the Antichrist is portrayed as the personification of evil, a liar who wants to take on the role of Christ and mislead people. Christian theology holds that the Antichrist is not just one person, but rather a recurrent paradigm that opposes Christ and his teachings. The early church fathers, including Tertullian and Irenaeus, expounded on this persona, portraying him as a charismatic and incredibly crafty individual who could work miracles and captivate large crowds. Medieval and Renaissance literature, which frequently portrayed the Antichrist as a despotic ruler who ushers in an era of unimaginable misery and turmoil, further enhances this picture. The Antichrist's genesis is also linked to apocalyptic literature, such as the Book of Revelation, where he is symbolized as the beast rising from the sea. This imagery underscores his destructive power and his role as an agent of Satan. The Antichrist's ultimate aim is to establish a kingdom on earth that opposes the divine order, culminating in a final confrontation with Christ. Due to historical and cultural factors, numerous views of the Antichrist have developed over time. In the midst of the heated religious struggles of the Reformation, Protestant reformers, for example, saw the Pope as the Antichrist. The Antichrist's ongoing versatility is demonstrated by the fact that in modern discourse, this menacing figure is frequently portrayed in popular culture as either a menacing corporate mogul or a charismatic political leader. The apocalyptic showdown between Jesus and the Antichrist is heralded by a series of prophecies and portents that serve as ominous harbingers of the end times. These prophetic visions are vividly detailed in the Bible, particularly in the books of Daniel, Matthew, and Revelation, and have been subject to extensive interpretation and debate. One of the most significant prophecies is the emergence of the Antichrist himself. According to the Apostle Paul in 2 Thessalonians, the man of lawlessness will appear before the day of the Lord, deceiving the world with signs and wonders. This prophecy suggests that the Antichrist will possess supernatural abilities, enabling him to perform miracles that will lead many astray. His rise to power is often associated with a period of intense tribulation, marked by wars, natural disasters, and moral decay. A thorough and symbolic account of the events leading up to the big fight can be found in the Book of Revelation. It tells about the shattering of 7 seals, each of which causes a certain disaster to strike the planet. Among them are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, who bring death, hunger, conflict, and conquest. These horsemen symbolize the vast misery and mayhem that will precede the confrontation in a horrifying and powerful way. Another critical element of the prophetic narrative is the appearance of 2 witnesses, as described in Revelation 11. These witnesses, often interpreted as prophets sent by God, will preach and perform miracles, but they will also face persecution and death at the hands of the Antichrist. Their eventual resurrection and ascension into heaven serve as a powerful symbol of divine vindication and the impending defeat of the forces of evil. Apart from these biblical prophecies, there are other signals that are thought to portend the imminence of the end times. These include geopolitical occurrences like the reconstruction of the Temple in Jerusalem and the uniting of nations under a single ruler, as well as astronomical phenomena like comets and eclipses. These signals are understood to be indicators of divine intervention in the cosmic drama that is playing out. The climactic clash between Jesus and the Antichrist represents the zenith of the apocalyptic narrative, a decisive battle that will determine the fate of humanity and the cosmos. This confrontation is depicted with dramatic intensity in the book of Revelation, where the forces of good and evil engage in a final cataclysmic struggle. The prophetic vision states that the battle will occur in Armageddon, which is sometimes connected with the plain of Megiddo in modern-day Israel. Armageddon has come to represent the final battleground, the meeting place of the forces of good and evil. After uniting the countries under his banner and consolidating his rule, the Antichrist will be ready to face the return of Christ. Amazing imagery is used to describe Jesus' second arrival. According to Revelation 19, Christ is shown riding a white horse, wearing a blood-stained robe, and brandishing a sharp sword. His eyes are filled with fire, and the several crowns on his head symbolize his absolute power. He is accompanied into battle by the heavenly forces, which are made up of celestial creatures and saints who have been raised from the dead. They are dressed in exquisite linen. The confrontation itself is depicted as swift and decisive. The Antichrist, along with his false prophet and legions, is swiftly overpowered by the might of the heavenly host. The sword that proceeds from Christ's mouth symbolizes the power of his word, which effortlessly vanquishes the forces of evil. The Antichrist and his cohorts are cast into the lake of fire, a place of eternal torment reserved for the most malevolent entities. The Apocalyptic Showdown is replete with symbolic elements that convey deeper theological truths. The white horse and the blood-stained robe of Christ signify purity and sacrificial redemption. The lake of fire represents divine judgment and retribution against unrepentant evil. These symbols serve to underscore the gravity and significance of the final battle. The aftermath of the Apocalyptic Showdown is marked by triumph and judgment, as the victory of Christ ushers in a new era of divine governance and cosmic harmony. The defeat of the Antichrist and his forces signifies the end of an age dominated by sin and corruption, and the beginning of a glorious new epoch. The Antichrist and the false prophet are thrown into the lake of fire after the decisive battle, signifying their eternal damnation. This act of divine vengeance is a sobering warning of what happens to people who disobey God's rule. The Antichrist's downfall also portends the demise of his cruel government and the release of those who were subjected to his oppression. The triumph of Christ is further celebrated with the establishment of the millennial kingdom, a 1,000-year reign of peace and righteousness. Revelation 20 describes how Satan, the primordial adversary, is bound and imprisoned in the abyss, preventing him from deceiving the nations during this period. This millennial reign is characterized by justice, prosperity, and spiritual renewal, reflecting the fulfillment of God's promises to his faithful. The final judgment, also known as the Great White Throne Judgment, occurs at the end of the millennium. This event is depicted in Revelation chapter 20, chapter 11 to 15, where all the dead, great and small, stand before the throne of God. The books are opened, and individuals are judged according to their deeds. Those whose names are not found in the book of life are cast into the lake of fire, signifying their eternal separation from God. This judgment emphasizes the themes of accountability and divine justice. It underscores the belief that all actions, whether good or evil, have eternal consequences. The final separation of the righteous and the wicked serves as a testament to God's holiness and the ultimate realization of his divine plan. In the wake of the final judgment, the biblical narrative envisions the creation of a new heaven and a new earth. Revelation 21 describes a transformed cosmos where death, sorrow, and pain are no more. The New Jerusalem, a celestial city, descends from heaven, becoming the dwelling place of God with humanity. This new creation represents the culmination of divine redemption and the eternal fellowship between God and his people. The New Jerusalem's imagery is full of symbolic meaning. The city's unmatched beauty and holiness are reflected in its streets of pure gold, gates of pearl, and walls of jasper. Situated in the center of the city, the river of life and the tree of life represent everlasting life and heavenly nourishment. The lack of a temple is an indication that God is present in every part of this new world. The theological implications of the aftermath are profound. The triumph of Christ and the establishment of the new creation affirm the ultimate victory of good over evil and the fulfillment of God's redemptive purposes. They offer a vision of hope and restoration, encouraging believers to remain steadfast in their faith amidst the trials of the present age. This exploration has unveiled the rich tapestry of symbolism, prophecy, and theological reflection that defines this apocalyptic vision. It highlights the enduring relevance of these ancient texts and their capacity to speak to contemporary anxieties and hopes. The final triumph of Christ and the establishment of a new creation offer a profound message of redemption and divine justice, affirming the ultimate sovereignty of God over all creation. As we contemplate the apocalyptic showdown, we are reminded of the power of these narratives to shape our understanding of cosmic and moral order. They challenge us to reflect on the nature of good and evil, the consequences of our actions, and the hope of a restored creation. The story of Jesus and the Antichrist, with its dramatic intensity and theological depth, continues to inspire and provoke thought, ensuring its place as one of the most compelling and enduring tales of human history.